a topic that had dominated the news in the latter end of the last week and over the weekend. Mr. Matthew Hancock, and then his replacement by Mr. Sajid Javid. Oh dear, where do we go from here, eh, Tom? Where do we go from here? Back to the lake, I fear.
Extraordinary, isn't it? You know, body bag Boris refused to sack Homicide Hancock, despite, you know, clearly lying to the Commons, lying to Hancock. This is lying to the Commons, lying to his cabinet colleagues, lying to the public, giving
lying to his wife, lying to
his wife, giving crony, you know, contracts to his local pub landlord and neighbour and friend, and being in charge of our you know, our Department of Health at a time of the pandemic when our response has by any measure been truly appalling, and we've had around 150,000 deaths, one of the worst rates in the world. And he doesn't get sacked for any of that, even though Johnson called him effing hopeless back at the start of the pandemic. He doesn't get sacked for any of that. He gets sacked for an affair. Well, no, sorry, he doesn't get sacked. Johnson never sacks him, and he resigns over a tawdry affair. Very, very sad state of affairs.
Very sad state of affairs, yeah, absolutely. And he was Secretary of State for the Department of Health, and he was giving his lover a bit on the side 10 times the amount of taxpayers' money than student nurses were getting. And this makes you want to, I don't know what it makes you want to do, to be honest. Just there's so many people out there who, oh, so what? And then you've got Boris Johnson saying, oh, it's just a Westminster bubble. Nobody's really interested. Nobody's really interested in corruption and lies and criminals, deceit, and moving money off into foreign bank accounts that the taxpayer has earned honestly. No, nobody's interested in that at all. That's UK 2021. We're all nihilists now.
Her brother runs a company that's involved with healthcare in some way, and was a recipient of a NHS contract. You know, details yet to follow, I'm sure. Well, hopefully, about that contract and how it was obtained, how it was awarded.
And apparently now the people in charge of CCTV are from Porton Down.
Really?
So there's so now they're trying to finger it and pass up the responsibility onto the dark clandestine shadows that hover within the belly of the UK PLC. But
yeah, so they're doing a Trump. They're doing a Trump thing there, Jace. You know, you get caught with your pants down. You get caught doing something, you know, illegal, unlawful, appalling, and you blame the whistleblowers, or you blame the people that have the leakers, the ones that released the CCTV or brought it to light. You know, without you don't show any sort of sense of remorse or accountability or anything. You just go after the people that brought it to the public's attention.
Yeah,
typical Trump tactic, and blaming the deep state.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not us that are acting unlawfully. It's the ones that let you know that are the problem.
Yes, no, exactly. And again, millions of people will fall for it, as they always have. But I guess for the moment, Matthew Hancock is the past, and the present is Sajid Javid, and he doesn't exactly bring baggage to the job that we can stand back and applaud and believe to be credible and virtuous. He is as aligned with corruption and deceit as any of them. In fact, if you look at him and Rishi Sunak in terms of the role that they played in selling derivatives and getting extremely wealthy off the back of the 2008 collapse, it's frightening. And even the Daily Mail, I mean, I'll bring the article up, but even the Daily Mail, who aren't well known for, you know, their tactics of exposing conservatives unless it's at a time when they think that they can do it without causing too much political damage. But even they were right at the heart of, back in 2014, of exposing him. And it's I mean, I've just read through a bit of the article, just a clip of the article. This gives you some sense. It's suspected that Javed was working on the controversial products that were behind the financial crisis during the 6 years he spent at Deutsche Bank in London. A former colleague of Javed said he was astonished at how Javed had been spinning his banking career as if he was some sort of sober investment banker, and revealed that Javed was actually a structured credit trader, and that he was in fact at the heart of the business that precipitated the financial crisis. An ex-Deutsche Bank member reported that shortly before the crisis, all the profit and losses was taken up front and bonuses paid on it. So that suggests that they knew something horrific was coming, and yet they didn't give a stuff about anybody apart from their own bank accounts. Earlier this year, in August, John McDonnell accused Javed of some of the worst successes of the casino economy during his time as a banker, and said that Javed had questions to answer over tax avoidance scheme used by Deutsche Bank, and that he should publish his tax returns. In a letter to the PM, McDonnell said that Javed had been selling collateralized debt obligations, a complex financial product largely attributed with playing a key role in the 2008 financial crash. It will be not lost on those that have suffered the consequences of the last 9 years of austerity following the 2008 financial crisis, that the newly appointed Chancellor profited from the greed that contributed to it. So, how many people do you think know this, Tom? And how many people, having been told it, then understand it enough to actually care about it enough when it comes to voting? Because I think that's a big question we need to be asking. We can reveal as much as we want, but if people simply look at that information and think, that isn't something I want to know, and it's certainly not something that's going to play a dominant role in my democratic participation, what's the point?
Yeah. I'd say a large proportion of the population, myself included, don't fully understand things like how financial crashes come to pass. What people should know, though, is that it's mostly the result of greedy bankers, exactly people like Sajid Javid and Rishi Sunak, who could be classed as greedy bankers, greedy investment bankers, who create financial products which lead to problems in the global financial system and markets, and ultimately in 2008 created the worst, one of the worst global financial crashes in history. And that article was obviously written in 2017, but we've now seen 11 years of austerity. So these people creating these financial derivatives, selling them, knowing that they're worthless, causing a global financial crash, costing trillions and trillions of pounds, leading to not just our government, but a number of other right-wing governments across the world implementing years and years, over a decade, of austerity measures. It actually means that, them playing around with, as John McDonnell said, the casino economy, and profiting massively. I mean, Javid was rumoured to have personally got about 150 million pounds when he, at the time he left Deutsche Bank. And what that means for ordinary people is 11 years of frozen wages, 11 years of cuts to public services, 11 years of lack of funding for schools, for hospitals, for healthcare, for local authority services that have been decimated in the last 10, 11 years. And of course, all of that is ideological. It doesn't have to happen that way. But the Conservatives and other right-wing governments in a number of countries have used the financial crash as an excuse to attack public services, because they don't believe in them ideologically. They believe in free markets and privatized profit-making companies running everything. They don't believe in the public good. They don't believe in public services that provide public goods that improve the quality of people's lives in all sorts of ways, but don't make profit for any of their rich mates. They don't believe in that. So yeah, so these people now, you know, we've got two of them now high up in our government. One's Chancellor, one's Minister for Health, that caused the global financial, that were involved in, you know, global finance, causing it, the global financial crash, and then, you know, a decade of our society getting worse and worse and worse for ordinary people. And these are the people in charge now. It's scary, shocking.